We're back, baby. We're back, kind of, sort of. Oh my God, what a crazy scenario that just happened 10 minutes previous to this this episode being filmed. Hopefully it's not my last episode. No, it's not gonna be. But yeah, I just didn't feel good. I had years ago. I'll tell the audience.
We almost didn't do those.
Yeah, we almost didn't do it. I had an arrhythmia problem with my heart. Back in the day. This goes back to when I was in my 20s. A slight arrhythmia problem. Stress would trigger an arrhythmia where my heart wouldn't beat properly. Not all the time, but here and there. It never became a big issue. And then, hence our topic for this next segment. Then after I got the vaccine, after I got jabbed with the vaccine, a lot of people don't even know. I have family members that don't even know. I went all the way down to near Columbus, Ohio, Millersburg out in Amish country. There were 2 places in the state of Ohio that would administer the Johnson & Johnson version of the COVID vaccine. I would not, under any circumstance, take the mRNA vaccine. I just didn't believe that technology was supposed to be used for vaccination platform purpose, but I did a lot of investigation. At least the Johnson & Johnson was a true vaccine, but it comes out afterwards, in later years, that the Johnson & Johnson does cause some heart issues, especially with arrhythmia. So it's kind of ironic because the topic I wanted to talk about was the COVID vaccine, because it's really weird that the reason I got the vaccine, I didn't really want to. It's not that I don't believe in vaccines. It's not that I was a conspiracy theorist.
It was just that one.
I just didn't think the COVID vaccines were going to work. The initial data was very ambiguous. It was not supportive of the fact that the vaccine was an actual vaccine. It looked like experimental medication, what the actual vaccine, what they call vaccines, or the medicine consisted of. But in the end, I worked for a company at the time. They were going to ostracize me at the national sales meeting. I was the only one of the 60-odd employees that were going to be at that sales meeting that didn't get vaccinated, so I wasn't allowed to be part of the meeting. They were going to make me sit in another room and watch it, in a room right next to where the whole company was, and on a Zoom call, and I wasn't allowed to come within 6 feet of any of my fellow employees. I was basically told that, so I was like, okay, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to be feel like a weirdo. And this is what happened in society. So this is actually a really good, I had a little bit of an arrhythmia issue before the taping of this. This is actually a good predecessor, the way it worked out, because I'm talking about the vaccine. And I firmly believe in my heart that the vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, was the cause of what I think could be a potential problem with the vaccines in general, which they provide arrhythmia, the myocarditis, they provide heart problems. It's one of the 2 major things that they knew about before they administered or made it available to the public in terms of the vaccines period. That you had 2 things. With the COVID vaccines, you had there was major data in terms of supportive data that showed that the vaccines, this is January of 2020, that showed the vaccines have a connection to autism and that they have a connection to heart issues. Not out and out heart failure, but heart issues. That's all data you guys can, and maybe in future episodes I'll dive in on a real, but that would be kind of boring for what we do. Yeah. But that's all data you can Google. It's not some weirdo in a red hoodie on the Fletch and Nick show and me being Fletch, just some weirdo talking about nonsense.
Talking about shit you don't know what you're
That's all verifiable. Within 2014, they were starting in terms of development. This is another thing you guys can look up if you really want to dive into it, which I did recently, and it's just weird that today, of all days, maybe when they administered the vaccine, they knew I was going to talk about this on this segment, and they're from a faraway distance, they're like giving me heart issues. You know what? Now that's a conspiracy theory. No, I'm just teasing everybody. That's not what's going on. No. It was just coincidental and super.
And I don't believe in that.
Super ironic. There's some guy. There's Bill Gates. Bill Gates is doing this to me right now. He's got a remote control and he's messing with my heart. No, although he dude, did you see in the Epstein files?
Yeah.
What came out about the sexually transmitted disease with a hooker? Dude, that's hilarious. This is the guy. This guy, there's a little sidebar before I dive in. It'll only take me about 10 minutes to get through what I need to get through. I thought that was hilarious. Here was the guy who has no medical background, nothing. He developed software. He's a cajillionaire. I give him credit for that. I mean, developing Microsoft, but the guy is telling all of us what we should do, get vaccinated. This is the healthy thing to do. He went to a hooker. He got a sexually transmitted disease. So they have it in the Epstein files. Verifiable. There's 13 different communications, text messages and emails where he's trying to get underground antibiotics from his doctor friend that he slipped into his wife's food and drink. So he didn't have to tell her that he accidentally gave her an STD from a hooker. So she would, he's slipping this into her drink and her food. So, I don't know which one it was. It was either syphilis or gonorrhea, but I think it's hilarious. This is who we're listening to for our health. Meanwhile, this bastard is slipping in a little antibiotic into his wife's coffee. I mean, what a mess we're in. These are the leaders of the free world. Somebody like Bill Gates who went to a bad Russian hooker. Why didn't you ask me, Bill? I would have told you where to go for a rub and tug. I would have saved you thousands of dollars, you moron. So, anyways, all right, crazy. I digress. That is a big digression. All right, let's talk about the COVID lie. We're going to name this episode the COVID vaccine lie because that's exactly what they did.
Okay.
Pfizer lied to us. So I don't know.
Well, they all lied to us, but
they all lied. Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, but Pfizer was kind of the leader of the charge, so to speak, in terms of the vaccines that were offered. Johnson & Johnson, there was a campaign both by Pfizer and Moderna to basically suppress, and they didn't want the sales of the actual vaccine because that's the one I got, the Johnson & Johnson, that was rushed to public, just like the other two were. But the other two, the mRNA vaccines, both Pfizer and Moderna, they had started previously. A lot of the public, and I want to express that to the audience, they don't understand that this started pre-COVID. Operation Warp Speed, they tried to play it to the public, meaning Trump and everybody else. Yeah, I got the vaccine. No, They had already, Fauci and them had already been experimenting with a vaccine because why? They wanted to profit off of the cure. First, they wanted the public to get infected with something. Now we can profit with the pharmaceutical companies, and we're talking trillions, not millions, not billions. They profited trillions of dollars off of us getting sick.
This explains why Trump's DOJ blocked Rand Paul from wanting to investigate Dr. Fauci.
Oh, he is the ultimate scumbag. I'll say it on camera. Tony, if you ever want to, I would literally probably do something to you. I'd be arrested and put in jail, but I would literally slap him.
I'd be put in Rikers.
I can't hit him with a fist because he's a little guy. I would break him in half, but I mean, yeah, I'd like to slap him for what he did to the American public. He's a scumbag.
I think in the grand scheme of things, the Trump administration, if what you're saying is true, 2014, this is what the Obama administration allowed. I mean, this is why, actually, this is going to be a very controversial thing to bring up, and it's actually crazy that I'm linking this. One of the first things, I can't even believe I'm saying something that's pro the Russian side in regards to the war. But when Russia invaded Ukraine, one of the first things Vladimir Putin destroyed, had them bomb, was actually gain of function research labs in Ukraine. And it's like, I mean, in that part of the war, based, it's like, that is one of the most, that's anti, isn't that kind of, what would you call it? Does the word anti-natalist fit that? Like an anti-human sentiment?
Yeah,
Something
I know
like
what
that.
you're saying.
There's no purpose of making, and let me tell you something right now. I'm pro-vaccine. I'm not. Now, I'm not one of those people that are like, whoa, Fletcher, what the... No, I'm not one of those pro-vaccine people. I'm saying that
Yeah,
I'm
so am I.
I'm not a pro-vaccine guy any more than I'm an anti-vax guy. I'm
Correct.
not. I'm fine with some. I've gotten plenty
I
in
want
my
the
life.
ones that work. The ones that
that's
are
what I'm saying
necessary.
is I'm okay with saying, hey guys, to the anti-vax crowd, these work right here. And they want to go crazy. I'm going to go, okay, you're acting like a bunch of ravening wolves. But then if the left says they're all good, hold up a minute, look at this, this, and this.
Look at the data.
Why don't you look at this and you tell me if you can support this? So right off the bat, if you say you're an anti-vaxxer and you say none of them work, you're a fool. If you say they've all worked and you're on that side of the aisle,
Again,
you're a fool.
Where are you and I? We're in the middle again.
Yeah.
Because
and I don't
there's
try to
truth
be
on both sides of the fence.
two things can be true at the same time. You guys are right. Some vaccines have been helpful, and I will acknowledge it. When I went to I work in a hospital. I had to go get a physical. I was tested, say, hey, your body's clear of this. Guess what? This is the only bit of medical history. There's two things people know about me medically. I'm on the spectrum. I'm autistic. Like, I have Asperger's. I don't mind telling people that. Most people say if I didn't mention it, 90% of people said they wouldn't have noticed. I guess that tells you how well I carried myself. And the second thing I'll mention is I haven't gotten a flu vaccine since 2016. And guess what? When I got my physical done, and they tested my body to see what vaccines I was clear for, what I need to be updated on, whatever, I was cleared for the flu. So 2016 to 2022, I haven't gotten a vaccine for the flu anyway, and I'm cleared for it. So that means that had I gotten in one in 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22, it would have been pointless. Who knows if I would have unnecessarily done that, getting potentially more of the side effects that probably would have affected me in the long run. I'll never know. I don't think the flu vaccine's bad, but I also think, look, man, after a century, if you're still coming out with it, I don't know, man. That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother two episodes.
It's a great rabbit hole to go down. But
we can go down that, but that's a whole
century.
century. We had to go to the early 1900s, mid. And
Correct.
That's not what this episode's about.
Yeah.
The point I'm mentioning is, guess what? I'm proof that some flu vaccines have worked. But, and let me tell you, in regards to the COVID vaccine, listen, I had grandparents, may they rest in peace. Given how fragile and vulnerable they were, could I say that I blamed them for taking it? No.
You can't blame anybody for taking it.
Someone in their position, but if you're
with the information at the time they were given.
Now, from the beginning, the thing that I had to fully oppose the pro-vaccine crowd on is saying, oh, the COVID vaccine should be mandated on kids. Kids were never affected.
Correct. That's another thing.
They were. I think I mentioned this story one time. If I didn't, I'm just gonna say it again. I feel like I did. Actually, I think within the last two episodes, not segments, but two episodes we did, I think I did mention this. I caught COVID in 21. and so did my fiance at the time. My brother at the time, you know, we were all living in the same place. But guess what? Who didn't get it? My 1-year-old.
Right.
Actually, he wasn't. He was very close to being a year old, but not quite. I smothered that kid. I mean, you know, what am I gonna do? I mean, I gotta make sure he's okay. He's not even walking yet, so we gotta hold him. We gotta make sure he's okay. He got nothing. He zero effect.
Right.
No symptoms. I think he had a runny nose, but he didn't
They
cough.
shouldn't have, the
He
kids should
breathed-
not have been
yeah.
vaccinated.
He did. He breathed normally. He acted normal. He was having the time of his life, having both of his parents in the same household for actually, God, we were stuck in the house for 3 weeks. Oh man, that was interesting. But the kids should have never gotten that vaccine. And
1,000%.
and I'm not going to say whether I've gotten one shot only, no shots, 2 shots. That I plead the fifth on, and I'll just explain why. The right will go crazy and saying, oh, like, you know, I'm not even going to make this left right thing. I think both sides are crazy when it comes to it, and I think at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter to you guys whether I did or he did, whatever. That is your own decision, and that will not affect me.
Yeah, the purpose of the episode is to display the lie that we were told.
Yeah, not to
So
say
the
that every vaccine is the worst thing in the world. It's just this
information-
particular one. There's a bunch of information that
was given at the time on all three that they would help stop the transmission.
Yeah.
Purpose of a vaccine is to stop transmission of a viral component. They did not do that. It was
No, they
clear-
did. It didn't stop the spread.
It was clear then that they didn't do that, but no one wanted to believe it because they wanted to believe what we were being told by Fauci, the CDC, our government. They wanted to believe in the fact that our government had our best interest at heart. Clearly, like now in current state society, we know by the Epstein files, we know pretty much about everything. Does the government lie all the time? No, but does it lie a lot? Yeah, it lies a lot. The CDC, I mean, they knew this information was there, and they just decided to go in a different direction and say that everybody should be taking this vaccine that has no proven track record. And at the time, they were like, well, it's Operation Warp Speed. We only had 10 months to get it out to the public. We wanted to protect the safety of the citizens. But that was all a lie, too. Because these vaccines go back to the mRNA vaccines for Pfizer and Moderna, go back to the initial construction and development, which was 2014. They didn't start in 2020. January 2020 is the start date of COVID, as in terms of, okay, we got to do Operation Warp Speed. So by February of 21, we have the available vaccines, whether it be Pfizer, Moderna, those two constituted 98% of who got, those are the citizens, the society got those two primarily. 98% took the mRNA vaccines. Only 2% took the traditional vaccine offered by J&J, which is the one that I took. They all had side effects. They all covered it up. mRNA vaccines to a higher degree, which is what I wanted to go into today. What was the lie? It's out there now. The information's there. So that's the reason we do this, is to bring you information that you may not know about. They knowingly lied about the numbers. They said that their efficacy, meaning that the rate of effectiveness, the efficacy rate was 95%. The public turned that number into, well, if I take the vaccine, I'm going to be protected 95% better than if I didn't take the vaccine.
Yeah.
That's not what that number meant. They knew that. Now all the information is out there. They knew that this number was a false number, but they just said nothing. They put 95% efficacy. Kyle Kalinske, he was on his podcast at the time, at that moment, saying 97%. He even tried to spread the propaganda by exaggerating.
I can't
Other
stand
people like him that were on board with, hey, everybody's got to get vaccinated, just raising the number. It started out 90%, then Pfizer came out and said 95% efficacy. Fauci was one of the main proponents of raising that number. He had the quote, "We had the most scientific response." I'll do a Fauci impression. It probably sounds a lot like Trump, but they're both scumbags. So we had the most scientific response to COVID. No, you didn't. Everything, you had the most scientific response to COVID. No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
Everything that you advocated for, none of it was based on science. Zero. The lockdowns.
Yeah.
The masks. The
By
social
the way,
distancing.
I always went against this from the beginning. I said this is not a big deal and we shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z. I'm telling you right now, anyone who supported the lockdowns, shame on you. Because the lockdowns did an incredible amount of damage to the children, to our society, and the amount of small businesses that were demolished because of the lockdowns. I blame Trump for that. I blame the governors. It's funny how I have a nuanced view when it comes to the lockdowns. When people say Trump didn't handle COVID well, okay, sure, I agree with you, but that's not the full picture. I used to say he did what he could, and I do think he did what he could. But at the same time, pushing 2 weeks to stop the spread didn't work. But people didn't realize that the governors chose to lock down the way they did, or chose to operate the way they did during COVID. And the one person who did well, credit to her, although a little mixed on her right now. I'm indifferent. I don't know if I like her now, and I don't know if I really dislike her either. That's Christy. No, she was the one person who did lock down out of the entire country. I mean, it's funny how they didn't focus on South Dakota, but yet they focused on Florida, saying, oh, they're not locking down. Where I'm like, they did lock down for 2 weeks. And DeSantis used to push for the lockdowns and the vaccine masks and all that stuff. But then he realized it didn't work, and it was, okay, then we're going to go with this now. But the fact that the news outlets were just viciously attacking Florida for doing that, but they didn't attack South Dakota for it, I just don't understand that. But Fauci has lied about COVID in fact, he was the guy. I'm surprised that the people that are pro lockdown didn't listen to Fauci's first statement saying masks don't work. And by the way, I stand firm on that. I don't care who you are, if you're pro, anti-vaccine, whether you got the COVID vaccine or not. I stood against masks and I stood against lockdowns. I always said this is not going to work. And it's really funny because multiple mask companies would have the disclaimer, they'll say what they do, and then right below it, they'll put in a disclaimer for the same thing that's a pro for the mask, and they said prevents the transmission of disease. And then the con was does not permit the transmission of viruses. And it's like it was worded differently, but I'm like, you just said it prevented the spread, and now you're saying it doesn't prevent the spread. And I don't know, they just ignored so many things. It's just like, I remember my supervisor at Home Depot, I won't say who it is, had an ungodly amount of facial hair. And, he looked like he could be in Lord of the Rings. And his beard was so long, and yet on the box of masks, it says that people who have facial hair are not supposed to wear masks. And they ignored that too. This is why I lost respect for medical institutions. I know you say, Nick, you work in a hospital. I don't work in the medical field. I'm a freaking dietary worker that puts stock away Monday to Friday. That's not, and let me tell you something right now. That doesn't mean I think the nurses are evil. I don't think the doctors are evil. I think they all are trying to do their best to help us. I do believe that when you go to the hospital and you have broken bone, you have a virus that didn't go away for a month, I genuinely think they are trying to help you. I do think that. But I also believe that the hospitals themselves, Big Pharma, all they want is your money. They want to feed you this propaganda so they keep getting tax write-offs and billions and trillions of dollars to fund their organizations. Again, this is why our podcast exists. All we're doing, all Fletch is doing particularly, I'm just giving my 2 cents and a little bit of information. He's just giving you information. Whether you agree with us or not, that's fine. But there's the data. So this is not an anti-vax episode, and certainly not the most pro-vax. Actually, it's more of a pro-vax episode than anything else. We're just saying, hey, they lied about this, so sue us. We're not telling you to stop getting vaccines, and we're not telling you should get every single one. Because if you say either one, we could legally be held liable because we are on a public platform telling people this. Although we don't have a massive following, I don't know if there's like a legality behind that or something. But the fact of the matter is they lied to us big. And I really hope RFK Jr. gets enough done while Trump is still in office. And honestly, I hope he remains the DHS, I believe it is. Or is that something else? No, that's not DHS, is it? Department of Health and Services? That's what he is, right? That's what RFK Jr. is, right? Or he's something different.
He's National Health Secretary.
Oh no, isn't DHS like an immigration thing?
Yeah, that's the Department of Homeland Security. DHS,
I mixed it up. I mixed it up. But I hope RFK Jr. gets enough done, because if there's anything, and I've made it clear that I can't agree on RFK Jr. on many, many things. I hate to say I probably agree with Cenk Uygur than I do with RFK Jr. But RFK Jr. is right about one thing, and that's him going after Big Pharma the way he does. He's mostly, if not really, correct on almost everything. I do think, again, I disagree with him on the whole video game stuff, but that has nothing to do with vaccines. Now, and it's funny how people say he's an anti-vaxxer. He's not. When was he ever an anti-vaxxer? But no, they push this propaganda, and I don't know. I just don't like when you lie to the American people, and now the information's out there about what vaccine you lie to us about. I don't care what vaccine it is. You can lie to us about flu, lie to us about COVID, lie to us about measles. If you lie about it, I'm going to call you out for it, and I'm going to say that you are endangering the American people by lying to them. And I think everyone should come together and hold Big Pharma accountable. Big Pharma needs to get dismantled and destroyed.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, that's never going to happen, but I mean, they should be held accountable. Here's the lie. I don't even know where I was. Here's the lie. The efficacy rate was portrayed by the company Pfizer itself as being 95% efficacy, meaning that
that's where you were on last.
If you take the vaccine, the way the public perceived it, which is why it's criminal what happened. If you take the vaccine, you're 95% more protected. That's how that number was given to the public on a silver platter. That's not what that number meant. They had a 95% relative risk improvement in taking the vaccine. So here's how the numbers break down, and here's the actual lie. Here's what I wanted to get to, the actual purpose of the episode. When you study vaccines, there's something called relative risk, and there's something called absolute risk. So relative risk, 95% refers to the study that they did on the Pfizer vaccine. You had 18,000 people 8 of the 18,000 people, they all got injected, they all got the jab of the Pfizer mRNA vaccine. Only 8 of the 18,000 contracted COVID. 8 of 18,000. This is Pfizer's study. This is the paperwork that's mandated when you make a medicine, you make anything that's going to be administered to the public. You have to have documentation. You have to have placebo studies, meaning you have to have somebody take the medicine and you have to have a group that doesn't, and you have to do comparative analysis. Make sense to everybody? Yeah. That's the number. 8 of 18,000 after getting the Pfizer vaccine, they still contracted COVID. Great. Then the placebo group, another 18,000 people didn't take the vaccine. 162 of those people, of that 18,000 placebo group that did not get the jab, they did not get the Pfizer mRNA vaccine, 162 contracted COVID. 0.88 is what the placebo group, the non-people that did not get the vaccine, 0.04 is what that comes out to of 8 of 18,000. Makes sense? You have 0.88, 0.04. The difference in these numbers is obviously, you just do math, 0.88 minus 0.04 is 0.84. 0.84 is not that, the difference between those two numbers, the 0.84 and those two numbers, 0.88, 0.04, 0.04 is 95% lower than 0.88. That's what that number means. And what is 0.84? Less than 1%. Meaning, if you took the jab, according to their study, you had less than 1% more improvement on not getting COVID. Not 95%, you're improving your odds 95%. How they gave it to the public that, oh, if I take the vaccine, look, that's what Kyle Kalinske, that's what every liberal podcaster is saying, 97% chance you're not going to get COVID. No, that's what the data means. That's what I wanted to tell. In reality, that's what the difference is between relative risk and absolute risk. Your absolute risk, which is what you judge on a medicine, what you judge in a vaccination scenario with a medicine you're going to administer to the public, you need absolute risk data. Well, the absolute risk is that it improved your odds of not getting COVID by less than 1%, 0.84. Not the 95% in the comparative analysis, the comparison of 0.88 versus 0.04. That's a lot of information I dug through, a lot of stuff that I read to come, and I just wanted you guys to be aware it's all a lie. The whole thing during COVID with the vaccination, you know, did you get it, did you not get it, all the stuff, none of the stuff, it's all bullshit. None of the stuff was truthful. And I point to Fauci, I point to the Trump, I point to everybody, the CDC, everybody was corrupt, because in 2014, they started developing mRNA vaccines for development to combat viruses. So this is pre-2020. Oh my God.
COVID, 6 year difference.
COVID came on the scene and out of nowhere, right? January of 2020. Oh my God, we have to
just in time for an election year.
Operation Warp Speed, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's another nice little ironic detail. You had 15 plus, if you dig into the CDC records, you have 15, almost 16 pages of known side effects for mRNA Pfizer vaccines, known side effects all the way dating back to 2014. Two of the chief attributes, two of the chief problems with the vaccine, even though in 16 pages there's 1,000 side effects plus. you have arrhythmia problems, anything, myocarditis, you have heart issues, obviously. We've seen that. We saw that back right when they were administering. You had athletes dropping on the field. You had all sorts of problems. It's only going to get worse long term because you don't know any of those other 1,000+ side effects that they knew about. They knew there was problems with the vaccine. This isn't conspiratorial or anti-vax. This is nothing. This
or
is
anti-science.
This is just stating data. This is fact. Now we know. Now we're 6 years past COVID. They were developing this stuff in terms of the vaccine so they could profit off of it 6 years prior. Now we're 6 years past COVID, the whole vaccination thing. It was all, in my opinion, it's all bullshit. You want to come? I live in city of Cleveland. You can find my barn. You can lock me up. I give a shit. It was all bullshit. And I'm not talking about like nonsense, like left field. This is all factual information.
Like
any one of you could find. You want to invest the 45 to 50 minutes it took me to read through all this stuff? You can do it yourself. They called it, in 2014, they called it not a vaccine. They called it gene therapy. And what did they do? They got a law written, meaning Pfizer as a company, that all of this information is out, but they have a 75-year liability clause. So 75 years into the inception in 2020, do the math, they can't be held liable for any of this stuff 75 years past
that makes
2020.
Me sick. That makes me 75 years.
And it's all signed off for by the government, by the CDC, by Mr. Fauci, by everybody else. Why? Why is it all signed off on? Because they all made money at our expense. They treated us like lab rats. So that was my point in the thing, to give you some numbers. So, I mean, it's a dinner table conversation maybe for you in the future. Be like, hey, I heard it on this podcast that 95% number was bogus. It did have relative risk, actual truth, but I mean, those are the numbers. That's what they should have said to the public. My point being, CDC, Fauci, everybody should have came, hey, there is an improvement that you won't get COVID, but it's less than 1%. I mean, if you take the vaccine. What if they actually told the public, Nick, and everybody watching this, I don't care if it's 5 people or 500, what if they told everybody that? If you came out and didn't say, hey, you got 95% better chance of not getting it, what if Fauci and everybody at that time came out and said, hey, Nick, you got a less than 1% chance, but there is a little bit less than 1% chance you're going to improve on not getting COVID. What would you have done, and what would 99% of the people have done? Oh, it's not worth it. I'm not doing that then. I'm like, 1%, who cares? It's not even 10%. It's less than 1. It's 0.84%.
I'll just say this. I don't care what vaccine it is. If you tell me, again, if you were to, if like the new flu vaccine, they say there's a 30% chance that I'm going to improve, I'm not taking it. I don't care who you are.
No.
If you don't even give me an 80%, like I'll think about it, be like, I think my odds are okay.
You gotta be in the 90 percentile.
If you're not at 89%,
you gotta be like a polio vaccine that's 95 plus, where the people that took the vaccine, they never got polio. How do you take a vaccine and you still get the F.A.N. virus? I get so mad. It's like people are still defending, like, well, it was good that I took. No, it isn't.
You know how I sleep easier? I call it natural selection. Okay, you want to still believe that? You'll be in the grave before I am. And you know what? Knowing that I didn't make your same decision, that's just the way it is.
There's a great book. I'll recommend that, and we'll end the podcast because it probably ran a little long. That's okay. We had some good information.
And plus, we weren't here for 3 weeks. I think this is more than enough to make up for it.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
If I compare it to the amount of content we have.
Yes, that's actually a really good way of looking at it.
Out of 3 weeks, this is probably not even close to the amount of content we would made in 3 weeks. Like, I think the list is magnificent. We would have had 9 segments instead of the 3 we're doing today.
There's a book, it's called Vax versus Unvax, I'm pretty sure. Ironically, we were talking about Bill Gates earlier. The doctor's name is Brian Hooker. Dr. Dr. Hooker, great guy. If you ever want to like a great guy, he's been on many podcasts. He's a very interesting dude. Hooker and RFK collaborated on a book. I only read a little bit of it. Again, it's like RFK's book, The Real Anthony Fauci. It's so highbrow. I mean, people don't realize that RFK, even though he sounds a little different, he's kind of disturbing to listen to. He's a good human being at heart. I don't agree with him on everything, but he's actually a brilliant guy. He collaborated with Hooker. They wrote a great, vaccine. And that's another misconception. RFK is totally anti-vax. No, he's anti some vaccines that are not proven to do what they're claiming to do.
Of course.
And he is supportive of other vaccines. So we'll leave it at that. I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of technical data. I like stuff like that because it really proves, it substantiates an opinion. It's one thing to have an opinion. Everybody likes those, but my grandfather used to always say, everybody's got an opinion. They're like assholes and they all stink. So, and I'm like, that's pretty
sounds about right.
Grams, but it does prove the point that it's nice to substantiate something sometimes with data, because that is actually super meaningful and in this case powerful in terms of COVID and the lie that they told us for a long time.
And anytime the government lies to us and it hurts my fellow Americans, I'm not cool with it.
It's a problem.
I'm not cool with it. So
we'll come back. We're going to do a short episode. I'm feeling all right enough, good enough, well enough.
Are you sure you want to do another one?
Yeah, we're going to do another one. It's going to be called the Blow Your Mind episode.
Okay.
I had something crazy, and Nick's been dying to tell me something crazy that...
I just showed you what I wanted to tell you, but we'll discuss it.
We'll discuss it because it's pretty...
It'll be a little bit fun, so I'll let you take off with that.
So, yeah, cool.
Or actually, I could, since...
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see you guys in the next one.